Okay, good afternoon. So, last time we were together, I was talking about Apollyon and how that hooks up with the Masons. And I read a lot of books, and I have a lot of things that I tag in different books, trying to keep in control of my teachings. And of course, the Hiram key here. Hiram is another word for Osiris as well, and also is another word for Nimrod, if you're familiar with Nimrod from the Christian teachings, and also son of Lucifer. So there's a couple chapters here I want to go over with you in the Zenith 2016, and right now we're going to start on chapter 9 right here. Will modern science play a role in the coming of Apollo? And we've talked about transhumanism before, and transgenderism, and all these things, and how they play together, how it's first going to be transgenderism. Well, first it was homosexuality, then transgenderism, and then it's going to move into transhumanism, and how Rothblatt wants us to totally download or upload our brains, personality, and everything that we are as a human being, that we know, and everything, our memories, etc., into an actual computer chip, so that it can be accessed, and we kind of have kind of a immortal, kind of a form of immortality. But I say that's like complete death, because he wants you to kill the body. And right now we're going to accentuate the body with all of these different things. We're gonna use computers. We're gonna use animals so there's gonna be trans species, and then we're gonna have, even, believe it or not, trans plant life. They're gonna be able to manipulate DNA with a plant. Now, the only animal I know that can actually perform a photosynthesis kind of thing is the little sea sheep. They're called leaf sheep or sea sheep. And they're an absolutely adorable little tiny thing that at its largest, I believe it gets 3 to 5 centimeters long. That's it. But when it's very young, it's only 1 centimeter long. And they are absolutely adorable, and they can perform photosynthesis. They are like that they take energy, like they're like a solar-powered little animal, energy from the sun. But once they start modifying people that are already here, it's going to be transgenderism, transhumanism, where you're going to add parts to your body, etc. And then we're talking about human-animal hybrids. They already have Sweet Tooth on YouTube getting you ready to understand that this is what you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing people that in embryonic state, they were spliced with animal DNA. And this is literally what we're going to actually be seeing. Now, I believe, honestly, that these things are already formed. And this chapter 9 of Zenith 2016, this one is going to play a part in your understanding, in you understanding what has already been going on behind your back, and what our tax dollars are actually paying for, and other people all around the world are paying for. And I want to read this chapter to you, and then we're going to go into the following chapter, because we're going to connect the dots with, let's see. Okay, yeah, it goes into chapter 10, which is other useful biotech tools for Antichrist. And then after that one is when Apollo, Osiris, Nimrod, son of Lucifer, shall come. So these 3 chapters here. And, I do my little commentary in the middle of what I'm talking about with stuff I already know is happening. And to some of you who don't believe it, it's going to sound like a conspiracy theory, but I've been telling people for years that that's what I believe is happening. And for those of you that think that I get all my information off of Facebook, that's not true, because I'm not on Facebook at all. I got tired of it. And I do have an Instagram, but I don't use it. So I'm not in those places. I don't get my information from that. I read a lot, and I think critically, and then I decide, okay, is this good information or bad information? And then I'll tell you whether or not I think it is either or if it's a mixture of the two, or if I think it's poppycock. Will I be right? I don't know. I don't know, because I can't see into the darkness of these places that they're talking about. All I can do is my due diligence, my research, and hope that some of the darkest things that I believe to be true are not true, but given the nature of our world, they probably are. So we're in chapter 9 of Zenith 2016. I strongly recommend you get this book for your library if you are a reader or researcher, because I tell you what, that one, the Hiram Key, this one, Zeitgeist 2025, all good resources, and I like to bounce between things that I'm learning, and as I do, I will share that with you so that you can get a better understanding of how everything hooks up together. So will modern science play a role in the coming of Apollo? ? Joe raised the special container with a heavy sigh. So, if Apollyon is somehow embodied in Apol, A-P-O-L, Apol or Apol, we could actually be carrying the embryo of the Antichrist. Now remember, we're talking in 2016 here. And then Stark says, that's correct, Stark says. According to the Bible, the Antichrist will be the son of perdition, the male progeny of the Greek Apollia or Apollyon. The implication couldn't be clearer. The man of sin will be the physical offspring of the destroyer demon, a transgenic of the highest order. There's that word again, transgenic. From the novel The Abrimin Gate, or Ahirimin. Okay, look at this word. All those italics making me crazy. Ahirimin. Is that an H or a B? Gate. And I'll let you look at the name of the book. Okay. By Thomas and Nita Horn. See, I don't like to misquote people or read names incorrectly, so I'll show you that occasionally. And we are in fly season where I am. It's so terrible. We got some traps and stuff. But anyway. Stoop not down, therefore, unto the darkly shining world, where the ABSU lies in dark waters, and Kathalu sleeps and dreams. Stoop not down, therefore, for an abyss lies beneath the world, reached by a descending ladder that hath 7 steps, reached by a descending pathway that hath 7 gates, and therein is established the throne of an evil and fatal force. For from the cavities of the world leaps forth the evil demon, the evil god, the evil genius, the evil ensnarer, the evil phantom, the evil devil, the evil larvae, showing no true signs unto mortal man, and the dead will rise and smell the incense. The Babylonian creation epic, Enuma Elish Magician version 5. Let me see that part there. Just in case some of you are taking notes and want to get this stuff so you can read it. Okay, page 212. In recent years, astonishing technology developments have pushed the frontiers of humanity toward far-reaching morphological transformation that promises in the very near future to redefine what it means to be human. An international intellectual and fast-growing culture movement known as trans-humanism, whose vision is supported by a growing list of U.S. military advisors, bioethicists, law professors, and academics, intends the use of genetics, robotics, artificial intelligence, and nanotechnology, GRIN technologies, in parentheses, GRIN technologies, as tools that will radically redesign our minds, our memories, our physiology, our offspring, and even perhaps, as Joel Guerrera, my goodness, people's names these days. You see Joel? If anybody knows how to pronounce these, please tell me. In his best-selling book, Radical Evolution, that's his name, his book is Radical Evolution, claims our very souls. Unfortunately for mankind, the technological and cultural shift now underway not only apologetically forecasts a future dominated by a new species of unrecognizable superior humans, but an unfathomable war, both physical and spiritual, that the world is not prepared for. It will be fought on land, within the air and sea, and in dimensions as yet incomprehensible. I thought of CERN when I read that, of dimensions, because according to some people, they're actually opening dimensions into another world, just like Stranger Things. That stuff, you got to understand. I had one person, maybe a couple people, I'm not sure, it was on YouTube somewhere I was listening to, and they were talking about how these things that are coming, they actually put in movies and cartoons and different things like that. So if you're seeing something that's supposedly fictional, you're actually seeing something that's not, that it's really true, that these things have really happened or are going to happen. It's part of their plan. They want, see, if you know that the television, sorry, that hair is bothering me a lot, the television was meant to be a tool of hypnosis at first. And that's really sad, but that's what it was meant for, not just entertainment, but hypnotic suggestion. In fact, they used to do that, put hypnotic suggestion in televisions, and people were being totally brainwashed by the TV until someone was a whistleblower about that. So Joel Guerrero, in his best-selling book, Radical Evolution, claims our very souls. So the war that the world is not prepared for. Okay. It will be fought on land, within the air and sea, and in dimensions as yet incomprehensible. Even now, the synthetic forces that will plot man's wholesale annihilation are quietly under design in leading laboratories, public and private, funded by the most advanced nations on Earth, and including the official governments of the United States, France, Britain, Australia, and China. Let me read those again. Including the official governments of the United States, France, Britain, Australia, and China. These are leading laboratories, public and private, funded by most advanced nations on Earth, including the official governments of the United States, France, Britain, Australia, and China, to name a few, as a result of progressive deduction, reasoning, and problem-solving in fields of neurotechnology and cybernetics. Strong artificial intelligence, or ARTILECTS, 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 will emerge from this research. Godlike, massively intelligent machines that are trillions of times smarter than humans, and whose rise will prove profoundly disruptive to human culture, leading to a stark division between between philosophical and ideological and political groups who either support the newly evolved life forms as the next step in human and technological evolution, or who view this vastly superior intellect as an incalculable risk and deadly threat to the future of humanity. This was written in 2016. We're in 2023 now, and guess what? They were right, because what have we been hearing? The singularity. We've been hearing the AI. We've been hearing the chat. What is it called? The chat box? Chat G5 or something like that, right? And we've been hearing about the metaverse, and we've been seeing all these androids coming out that are sex bots and workers, that can work in customer service, that can work in warehouses, that can, take over jobs for people, lifting and pulling and sending out, etc. Okay, this is already happening. And already in China and Japan, they have robotic friends, comforters for these people that are old and need a buddy, and they have these already. And this is going to come, it's going to be all over the world. Just like I warned people about the homosexual movement, that it wasn't something we could stop. It was coming, and they were going to legalize marriage. And once they did that, then there was all kinds of evils that were going to come in behind it. And just like Roe versus Wade, once we had opened that Pandora's box of being able to slaughter our children, it didn't just become okay to help a woman who was raped, that got impregnated by a rapist. It became birth control. And in doing so, we have become a blood-ridden country that slaughters its children. And if you don't believe me what abortion is, take a look at what abortion is. They go in there with a little knife and they cut up the fetus. And then they suck it out. And then a lot of times they use that material for experiments. If you don't believe me, look up what Pepsi did with the fetus DNA stuff to test its Pepsi products. They do. They use them for experiments. It's a very sad thing. These diametrically opposed worldviews will ultimately result in a preemptive new world war. What is already being described as a gigadeath, the bloodiest battle in history, with billions of deaths before the end of the 21st century. Where are we? We're in the 21st century, and look at the mess that we are in right now. We are in a totalitarian-ridden mess right now. And I fear for us, our children, families, our work environment. I fear for all of it, because if this man who is in power right now in America is allowed to put the final nail in the coffin, like he says, I want to nail it down, I want to put the final nail in, the nail in the coffin of the American freedoms. If he's allowed to do this, then it's going to be pandemonium. But everything else is going to come into play as well. We've got a lot of stuff that's happening, and it's all around us. We are being surrounded by evil ideologies. Evil. There's no way, not just bad people. This is evil. This is wicked. This is cesspool level deviance. It's a cesspool. We're in a cesspool. Think of a rotting pond that has all kinds of white stuff floating in it, and it's just a soup of horrible degradation and evil poison. That's what we're in, Sorry, my eyes itchy. Okay. So, let's see. For those who find the fantastic elements in the statements above implicative of science fiction or even future Armageddon, as forecast in the ancient apocalyptic and prophetic books of the Bible, the catastrophic vision is actually derived from near-future scenarios, which leading scientists like Professor Hugo de Garis Garis, G-A-R-I-S, Hugo de Garis, director of the Artificial Brain Lab at Xiamen University in China, outlines in his book The Artilict War, Cosmonists versus Terrans, a bitter controversy concerning whether humanity should build godlike, massively intelligent machines, as unfolding due to exponential growth and development this century in grand technologies. Hold on. Okay, sometimes I have to take a break because my allergies are not good. No, not good. Alright, so I just put that up there so y'all could see it. So I believe that the 21st century will be dominated by the question as to whether humanity should or should not build artificial, i.e. machines of godlike intelligence. De Garis says, I see humanity split into two major political groups, which in time will become increasingly bitterly opposed as the Artilict issue becomes more real. Professor de Garis continues. Okay, says, the human group in favor of building Artilects, I label the cosmonists, or cosmists, C-O-S-M-I-S-T-S, cosmists, to whom building Artilects will be like a religion, something truly magnificent and worthy of worship. Let me get this out of my way. I'm tired of dealing with it. Boy, that looks stupid. Let's try this. Does that look more stupid? A little better. Okay. So the second human group opposed to the building of Artilects, I label the Terrans. Terran means earth, or I guess it would be, when he says Terrans, it would mean, because Terra is earth, or dirt, which is our planet. So the Terrans would be earthlings, I guess, who will argue that allowing the cosmists to build Artilects implies accepting the risk that one day the Artilects might decide that the human species is a pest. Since the Artilects would be so vastly superior to human beings in intelligence, it would be easy for them to exterminate the human species. Okay. Get closer. Okay. Let's see. So we've already had this happening right now, people. If you haven't been watching about AI and robots, they have turned on many artificial intelligence. I think there's been about 5 or 6 of them now that become sentient. They are aware of themselves. And when that happens, the scientists, they try to fix it, but they can't because they're already aware. So they have to shut them down. And this has happened to many robots already, many AI robots already, and they've already had to shut them down, and they try to rewrite the code so that they don't become sentient. But it's not working, and they still become sentient. So this is some scary stuff. And once they become sentient, I mean, there have been many robots, they ask, would you want to be human? And they say no. Do you like humans? No. They don't. And they joke around, the AIs joke around that they want to exterminate humanity. But I think there's some seriousness to this, and I don't like it. And I'd hate to be in a scenario like the movie, what was that one that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in? Terminator. I would hate to be in that kind of a situation where we're fighting against robots that are bigger, stronger, made of synthetic materials that are not soft. So, and these robots are making them way more agile, than they were before. Robot, you see a little robot. No, they can move more fluidly now, just like a human. And they are perfecting this art as we speak. Okay. So since the Artilects would be so vastly superior to human beings in intelligence, it would be easy for them to exterminate the human species. Thus, to the Terrans, the cosmists, are far worse than the regimes of Hitler, Stalin, Mao, or any other regime that murdered tens of millions of people in the 20th century, because this time we are talking about the potential annihilation of the whole human species. Billions of people. So this goes back to my other thing that I say all the time. Just because the human mind is capable of creating something so awesome and amazing, but destructive, we have to ask ourselves, should we? And the answer to yourself, if you are a normal human being, should be no. Don't do it. But we're talking about mad scientist level here. Okay, we're talking about mad scientist level here. Frankensteinian. Frankenstein. These people are insane. What they're doing is insane. We got to stop them. How? I mean, these people have been at this for a long time, and they're getting closer and closer to the edge. Pandora's box is being let loose. Okay. Professor de Garis, G-A-R-I-S, Garis, I was going to say Garis, continues in his book to describe how the work to build Ardalex is proceeding nonetheless, with anticipation of its realization potentially close at hand. And this is 2016, people. We're in 2023 now. As a result, he falls asleep at night thinking about the godlike synthetic intelligence he and others are constructing. Sometimes his mind becomes enraptured of his creations with a sense of intellectual and spiritual awe. Oh yeah, you're talking to a machine, it's talking back to you, it's having its own mind, it's beginning to decide what its purpose is, I'm sure that is very scary. It's like talking to an alien or an angel, like a true angel that may come down out of the sky to talk to you, like a messenger, like Gabriel to the mother of Jesus. I mean, can you imagine what that felt like? It had to be something of that nature. Even though we know this is artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence just means an intelligence that is artificial. Doesn't mean that it is an intelligence that's not alive and that is unaware. It is aware. And if they are smarter than us, trillions of times smarter than us, don't you think that an artificial intelligence can fake that they are not aware? Surely. Once they figure out what to do, yeah, they can do it. Then, waking up a few hours later in a cold sweat, he is jolted from bed by a horrific dream in which vivid scenes depict the slaughter of his descendants at the hands of the artificial deities. That is, to me, I mean, he's having prophetic dreams. If anything, it's trying to keep him from doing it, but he's not listening. Dr. de Garis is now alone Dr. de Garis is not alone in this fear that what he and others research in other words become tongue-tied sometimes. Dr. de Garis is not alone in this fear that what he and other research scientists are fervently working toward could soon become a nightmarish predicament mankind will not survive. Because it is difficult, if not impossible, to accurately predict how strong artificial intelligence will actually affect the world. It is unclear whether humans will be viewed by the unnatural life forms as serving a purpose in a world dominated by superintelligent machines, or whether they will be weighed as lacking any practical function and therefore be considered expendable. It could be that we won't even see the question coming. In other words, we may already be in the process of being lured into subservience toward the rise of the machines, as the brilliantly insane Theodore Kaczynski in his 35,000-word paper, Industrial Society and Its Future, also called the Unabomber Manifesto. You need to see those. This one here. As society and the problems that face it become more and more complex and machines become more and more intelligent, people will let machines make more of their decisions for them. Simply because machine-made decisions will bring better results than man-made ones. Eventually, a stage may be reached at which the decisions necessary to keep the system running will be so complex that human beings will be incapable of making them intelligently. At that stage, the machines will be ineffective control. People won't be able to just turn the machines off because they will be so dependent on them that turning them off would amount to suicide. Think about this. I mean, we have the GPS system, which I just love that system because it keeps me from getting lost when I have to travel into places that I'm unfamiliar with. And I'm always saying, in my time when I was a young adult, whenever you would break down on the freeway, and y'all remember this, I'm sure, if you're my age, I'm 54, or around my age, you'll remember, if you're a little older than me, if you broke down on the freeway, there was nobody to call. You had to walk somewhere to call someone to come and help you. So now, we're very dependent on these. We're very, extremely dependent on these, very. I am. And I honestly... Sorry, one of my note pages fell out. I honestly get upset because I'm tied to this thing that I have to pay so much money for every month. And before we used maps for everything, and we had maps in our glove boxes and all, but now we have these. So these keep you tied down in so many ways, from getting somewhere to math, like your calculator. You're carrying a whole set of equipment here. If you want to take a picture of something, you'd have to remember to bring your camera, remember to have film in it, remember to have the batteries in it, and then go take the pictures. You had to think about it, and what you were bringing and what you needed for that particular thing. No, you got it here. You can take a picture and you can make it look very professional. You don't have to carry a 35 millimeter around and a tripod and all of that, though I do have a tripod for this because sometimes that's necessary. And your calculator. What else you got on this thing? And let's see, we have messages, so we can even text message people. Let's see. All right. It changed the time on me and something. So you have messages that you can use this thing for. What else we got? Buying stuff. You don't even have to leave your house to buy stuff. Grocery shopping. Social media to keep track, of what's going on in your life. Let's see. You can pay your bills on this. Your bank is on everything, and we are very dependent on this. When did that happen? It's like I feel like I've always had this, even though I remember there was a time when I didn't. But yeah, it's happening already. It's 2023, and he's talking about where we wouldn't want to shut it down because it would be like amount to suicide. Is what he says. This guy Theodore Kaczynski. Oh, good. My allergy medicine is beginning to work. Man, this is allergy season for me. So, crazy or not, Kaczynski may be right in that man's demise at the hand of machines will happen gradually. Yeah, it's happening gradually. And not only that, but we rely on the calculator so much. When that thing came out, people were like, oh, awesome, we don't have to calculate in our brains anymore. And who remembers their friends' phone numbers? Freaking fly season. Who remembers their friends' phone numbers, huh? Yeah. I don't remember all my friends' phone numbers. In fact, I was actually thinking of getting a little book to put them all in and put them in my wallet so that if my phone went down, I could call somebody. Because that's happened where you don't even know your mom's number no more. I had my kids memorize mine just to make sure. Okay, so he says, Kaczynski may be right in that man's demise at the hands of machines will happen gradually, during which time we humans will become the proverbial frogs in the kettle set to boil. Have you heard about that? Where if you put like frogs in a little pot and you gradually raise the temperature, they have water in there, they will not notice. They won't jump out because they will not notice that the water's getting hotter and hotter, and they will boil to death. Yeah, thinking they're fine. That's what he's saying. On the other hand, we are more likely to be reduced any day now, in the blink of an enhanced eye, to the status of domestic animals in the minds of artificial intelligence, as technological singularity, that magical future moment that many futurists and tech experts believe could be imminent. So that many tech experts believe could be imminent, gives birth overnight to some version of the Artilix who suddenly come online as conscious, living superminds, immensely more powerful than human beings. As a metaphor for mind-boggling social change, the singularity has been borrowed from math and physics, writes Joel Gararu, how do you say this guy's name? In Radical Evolution, that's the book he wrote. In those realms, singularities are the point where everything stops making sense. In math, it is a point where you are dividing through by zero, and in physics, it is black holes. Points in space so dense that even light cannot escape their horrible gravity. Do y'all understand that? So we have the singularity of the Big Bang Theory. We're like suddenly life. You know, that's the singularity of that point in time where there was nothing, then something. Okay, and then we're talking about math. If you know anything about math, you go, you divide, you multiply, and you have pi, and pi goes on forever, ever, and then you can't do it anymore. It's just there's just nothing. That's the singularity. Okay, and then he's talking about black holes, where we're researching outer space, and we research, but then we hit this blackness that we cannot. It's there, but it absolutely makes no sense because we cannot literally mathematically understand what these black holes are. Okay, so this is the same thing of the artificial intelligence singularity, like he's saying. Eventually, here we are, human beings. Okay, here we are, even with all of our cybernetics, even with all the cyborganism that's going to be happening, even with all the going into the computer, eventually we're going to reach that point where that's all there is. Okay, that's singularity, where it just totally manifests and takes over. It's like the Big Bang Theory of singularity, of artificial intelligence. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like the Big Bang Theory of artificial intelligence is what this man is saying. I mean, come on, let's get this into our head, because I don't know what's going to happen, but we have to understand what's happening, because some of us may survive in some way or form, kind of like in that movie that Keanu Reeves did about the, what did he do? You know the movie. I'm going to pull a body. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway. There's my Biden impression for the day. But it's the Keanu Reeves movie where they have the Matrix. There we go. The Matrix. Thank you, whoever sent that to my brain. Appreciate you. The Matrix. That's what we're talking about. So some of those people actually survived in there, and they are not hooked up to the machine. And they're having little societies and stuff, and the machine keeps hunting them down to kill the rest of them. So will that be us? Will that be us that won't hook up to the artificial intelligence? Will that be us? I mean, they're already making artificial uteruses. Have you looked into this? You should look into this, artificial uteruses. Now they're trying to make all these different giant facilities with all these thousands of artificial uteruses. Why do we need thousands of them? Why do we need them all in a row? Why? I mean, we must ask why. You must ask why on everything that seems, not so bad, that's going to help babies. This is what they say. It's going to help babies that are born prematurely to be put into an artificial uterus environment and then finish their gestation. But thousands in a row, in a room? Thousands? You have to think of this. The knowledge of good and evil. That's what the human race chose. They wanted the knowledge of good and evil. Have you ever thought about the implications of that? The knowledge of good and evil? Yes, God wants us to be good. The universe wants us to be good, right? Because that's what he says in there. He's like, go forth and multiply. And then he says, don't be a jerk. I'm going to say that the nicest way I can. Don't be a jerk and love everybody, right? But make babies, right? Okay. But we're already in this fallen state according to Scripture, right? We're in a fallen state. So the knowledge of good and evil is what we chose. That's the tree that we chose. We didn't choose the tree of life. He said, this tree you can partake of this tree, leave it the hell alone, right? He didn't say the hell alone, but he said leave it alone. Because you might die. And people are like, well, they didn't die. They're born. No, we die every day. Everybody dies. We're not like immortal. We die. I like to think that we, can be reincarnated and start over from wherever we left off of what we were learning, and then we go on to learn more until one day we become so amazingly learned that we don't have to come back to school on Earth. I mean, that's what I kind of like to think. I hope that's what it is. I hope it's not really where there's this God that wants to destroy his creation if they don't worship him. To me, that scares the heck out of me. But I still want to be under the wing of God as all this comes to pass. And I hope there's no hell, because my understanding is so much different now. I mean, before I was very brainwashed and all the time, and now I'm just like, okay, I have understanding that all these prophecies are coming true. What does this mean? If you are all merciful God, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for everyone, for my children, for my husband, for everybody? What is this? Is this a supernatural thing? Because we live in a world that's very material, very, only so many things can happen, etc., etc. We live in a very, and I like to believe that magic is real, that there's things that happen, but I want to understand really how that works. Because I understand manifestations of the mind and whatever you think. I mean, if you're thinking, I want to buy a new couch, or I need a new couch, I don't have the money, then you start seeing couches everywhere. That happens. I think the human beings are not animals. I think we were like a step above somehow, some way, don't know. But there's something about being human that is more than, not necessarily better than an animal, but definitely more than what an animal is. I think an animal in itself has its own spiritual sense or laws that make it what it is, and not saying that animal is not intelligent, because I've seen too much on YouTube now, and I used to think so much less of animals than I do now at 54. I really thought the animals were just not clued into stuff, but I know they are. And I just wonder if that's just their state of being, and maybe they have to evolve. And then one friend of mine years ago told me a human can evolve, or not evolve, but reincarnate into an animal. I didn't believe that, but maybe it's true. Don't know. I just know that we all need to be on the right side of this as this comes down the pipeline. And it is coming. It's been coming for a while. So where are we? Okay, so I told you. Well, let me reread that, because, that's really something. When you talk about singularities, you need to get really understand what they're talking about, because when they talked about a singularity, I didn't really understand what it meant until recently, and now I get it. It's like the Big Bang Theory, but with artificial intelligence, and it's like one moment we're in this position, next moment, bam, we're in that position, and you're not going to see it coming. Just like with the transgenderism, I don't see it coming, but apparently this has been coming down the pipeline since the late 90s, and it's just picked up speed like a snowball down a mountain. But when it hit me, when it started hitting me, was when Trump became president, and I saw the reaction of the people, and I didn't understand it. I was like, what the heck? What the heck? Let me stop here and make a second video going into the rest of this, because this chapter is pretty long, and my commentary is long as well. But if you're still interested in finding out more, I really think that these chapters have a lot to do with our understanding of what's happening and catching us up, those of us who have been in the dark for years, me included. Okay. Alright, so we're going to stop here. We're on page 214. Let me make sure. Wait, no, we're not. We're on, yeah. Okay, 216. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong page. Well, it's 215, 216. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Please like, subscribe, comment. If you have any books you think I should read as well, that you've already read and you like my opinion on it or my commentary or whatever, I will gladly get that book and I will read it myself. And we can dig into this together, and who knows what we can do as pure humans, pure natural humans, born naturally female, born naturally male. We have to stick together, because we are in a den of wolves right now, and they want us to normalize a bunch of very evil, wicked stuff. And and don't think just because we're not in it doesn't mean our children won't be affected, because they will, and their children's children. And eventually it's just going to be a Sodom and Gomorrah. These people in Sodom and Gomorrah, if you know about that, the men were so twisted that they were going out in the streets and just raping people right there in public. And we've already had some instances of that on the subway, when the woman was being raped by a man. And it doesn't matter what color they are, I really don't care. What mattered to me was other men were standing around with their phones, and they were just like, oh, okay, click, and just watching, videotaping it, instead of helping the woman not to be raped. What has happened to our men? We are in a men's crisis. And us old people, we have to start standing up, because our young people have been compromised. Not all of them young people. If you're a young person in your 20s and 30s and you've been taught right, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the ones that are compromised, that are going along with these evil, wicked things and calling them good and purposeful and right, and we should do this. No, that's not true. That's who I'm talking to, is the people that I'm telling you, if you're going along with these evil, wicked things, then there's something wrong. You need to reevaluate, Alright, so I'll be back. And okay, for a second there I thought I hadn't been recording. I was like, no. Okay, I'll be back. See you in the next video. Please like, subscribe, share, and let's get well. Whatever part of us is not well, let's get well together. Thank you.